Hi guys, welcome back. Today I wanted to talk about movies. So I made a list of the movies that I recently discovered and also recently rewatched. Some of them are classics, some of them are newly released, and I feel like they are really beautifully made. And the message that they delivered behind is very special and as well, so I would definitely recommend you guys to check it out. So, first movie that I recently rewatched again is called Mona Lisa's Smile. It's a pretty old movie. I think it's around in 2003. And this movie is starring by Julia Roberts, and it's a very, very good movie. So from the title behind, you can tell it's really related to the painting Mona Lisa. So it kind of gets the meaning from the paintings and bring it back to the movie. So if you know, the Mona Lisa's Smile is about like a portrait of a woman. She has a smile on her face, but Leonardo da Vinci kind of captures the sense of sadness from Mona Lisa. So the movie is basically about a woman is smiling in front of the camera or in front of others, but are they truly happy? So it kind of takes back to the woman, how woman is portrayed back in the 19th century. So back in those days, women don't really have a lot of choice. They don't really receive a lot of education. Even they do, at the end, they are persuaded and encouraged to become housewives. Like women, it's kind of like born to fulfill the roles of being a housewife, taking care of their family, their kids. So the movie kind of argue the stereotype of being a woman. The whole plot of the movie is about Julia Roberts. She received a role to become a professor in a very top-notch women university. So that university, it's only allowed for women to study there. She began to teach art history as her subject. But Julia Roberts is a really open-minded modern woman that she sees so much potential from her students that she decided to kind of change the perspective of how these students should look at themselves as being a woman. So she starts to encourage them to pursue more career, to think outside of the box, except being a housewife, they could really achieve something even more. So the whole movies are basically arguing conservatives' values back in that days. So you will see they talk about the subject about contraception. To talk about contraception, should women having a second choices apart from being a housewife. So it's a really meaningful, heartwarming movie that addresses feminism in a very subtle way. And I love this movie, and I found it really relatable, not only because I'm a woman, but also because the way the movie talks about how art kind of makes you see the world differently. And I feel like this movie has successfully delivered this message. Like, you truly learn a lot from art, and I love it. I love it so much. Really good acting. The story plot is really heartwarming as well, and you will see different girls in that movie trying to find their roles in society. It's not only about being a housewife, getting married, having kids, but also finding their own career or even being independent. Some of them are very open-minded in their relationship. So it's a really interesting, meaningful movie that I feel like not a lot of people talk about it, but I personally love this movie a lot. Almost any movie that Julia Roberts has in it, I feel like it's a really good movie as well. So highly recommended to check it out if you love art, if you're studying art, if you're interested in art and you kind of find the therapy from art, you will truly feel it in this movie. Speaking of art, there's a movie that is adapted from a famous painting, The Girl with a Pearl Earring. This is a fictional stories inspired from the paintings by Vermeer. It's a really famous painting. You must have seen it before. The whole movie, it's adapted from a fictional books, and the fictional books is actually adapted from the story behind the painting. So let me give you a little background about this painting. So the painting is a portrait We won't call it portrait, but it's about a girl sitting and looking right at you with a pearl earring. So, but however, we still don't know who exactly the girl is. We don't know the name, where is she living, or why Vermeer chose to paint this woman. So a lot of people having different conspiracy about the painting. Some said Vermeer actually imagined the girl, so that's why the girl doesn't really exist in real life. And I feel like the author from the book actually get inspiration from this mysteriousness of the painting. The girl is actually maid working for the painter Vermeer, and Vermeer actually fell in love with this girl, and that's why Vermeer paints the portrait of this girl. Scarlett Johansson is actually performing the main girl of this painting. So I would say this movie is beautifully made. The dynamic and the color tone is absolutely beautiful. It's exactly like the painting. The color tone, the objects, and how it was shot, it feels like you're living inside Vermeer's painting, which is truly remarkable. The thing I like about it is capture the the sadness of the painting and bring it into the movie, which I find it really amazing and captivating. The plot is very simple. It's about Vermeer kind of fell in love with the maid working for him. They kind of connected in so many different levels. I highly recommend this movie if you're interested in this painting. If you love this painting, go watch the movie. And also the movie explains really well the uniqueness of and the technique that the paintings painted by Vermeer. You kind of understand what makes Vermeer so famous. It explains so much about the beauty of this painting, the beauty of Vermeer, and you just fall in love with the fictional love story, and it's brilliant. Let's talk about some movies that I recently discovered that I feel like they are so underrated. So the first one, this one is actually a cartoon movie. I think nobody ever talks about it because they don't air it in cinema. I don't think they air it in cinema. But this cartoon is called Robot Dreams. The cartoon kind of turns the whole New York City into animal. So you don't see a single human in there. They draw so many animals living in New York City. And it talks about one of the animal called Dog. He's a dog, of course. So he lives in Manhattan and he's very tired of being alone. So that's why he purchased a robot to give himself a friend. So their friendship blossomed. They enjoy each other's company. But one day something's happened that dog has to abandon robot on the beach. So, and the story kind of talks about their friendship and what's gonna happen next after they kind of forced to be separated. It's so much more from the cutesy vibes of the cartoon. It talks about something so much deeper. It talks about loss. It talks about how you should treat relationship. It talks about how you deal with grief. It's a cartoon for adults, let's say that. The next movie that I recently watched is the new movie by Dakota Johnson. It's called Daddio. The whole story plot is very simple. It starts with Dakota Johnson getting a cab from the airport back home, and on the way, she has a really deep and truthful conversation with the driver. So the whole movie doesn't have any plot at all. It's just about their conversation in a cab. All happens in a cab. There are barely more than 2 characters in the movie. So it's mainly about Dakota Johnson and the cab driver. The movie is very bold and honest. It talks about so many issues that happens in Dakota's life. I truly enjoy the conversation that they have in the cab, and I find it really interesting. And they open up something that they can never talk with anybody else, but they have a very honest conversation throughout the ride. I will give you a little bit hints about the movie. It talks quite a lot of bold issues. It talks about family issues, relationship, daddy issue as well. So that's why the title is called Daddio. It's like a slang for daddy. So I find it really interesting. I like how the movie is shot and very simple, but find it really meaningful how they portrayed a human relationship, how genuine human connection is. And yeah, I do like it quite a lot, and it's very honest and heartwarming, but not in a very cheesy way. So I do recommend, if you don't mind movies that don't have a lot of plot but rather focusing on the dialogue, then I would recommend you to watch the movie as well. Last movie is a very old movie. I guess it's quite famous, but I've never watched it until this week. It's also by Scarlett Johansson. It's called Lost in Translation. So the setting of the movie is in Tokyo. So it's about a very famous actor. He traveled to Tokyo for a job that he doesn't really like to take, but he has to take it for the money. And Scarlett Johansson is a graduate student. Her husband has a business work in there, so she kind of stayed behind with him together. So both of the character kind of get lost in Tokyo because of the cultural shock. They don't understand Japanese, and Japanese people don't really speak English during that time. So they kind of being lost in the city because of cultural barriers, of language barriers. But in a deeper meaning, they kind of lost in their life as well. So for the male character, he has a middle life crisis. He doesn't know what he wants in his life. And he had a really bad relationship with his wife as well. He couldn't find any passion in his life because the job that he is currently doing is not what he wants. And for the female character, she actually get lost as well. But she is as a very young professional, she just doesn't know what she wants to do with her life. So she's kind of lost with her future. So you will see two characters getting lost at the same place. For different reason and also at different life stage as well. So the movie talks about how they get connected in a deeper level, as they kind of connected because the loneliness that they share in this foreign city. No matter what stage you are, you will relate it to it. Even if you're like a student, working, young professionals, a grown-up, you will relate it to this movie in so many different ways. That's the 5 movies that I watched these days, and they kind of changed the perspective of my life. I felt like they were so underrated, and I really hope more people discover the beauty of them. So let me know if you love these movies. If you watch them, do you love it or hate it? Do you have any other movie recommendations? And I can't wait to share with you more about movies and books in the future. Bye!